possible to get. Yeah, there we go.
All right, there we go. We're live with Jonny Polonsky. I hope I said that right.
That's right, Jonny Polonsky.
Yeah. So, man, what a career you've had. You've been in the business a long time, right?
I've been around. Yeah, I started making records.
What a career you've had. You've been in the business a long time, right? Why is it delayed?
Been around.
It's a long one too.
Yeah, I started making records.
What a career you've had. You've been in the business a long time.
Shit.
Why is it delayed?
This is a shit show.
It's
long.
long.
It's a show. I started making records.
Is that my computer or yours? Shit.
Why is it delayed?
It's Johnny saying you're hearing your YouTube channel. Making records.
Is that my computer or yours? Shit. Why is it delayed?
Johnny saying you're hearing your YouTube
Cool.
channel. Making records.
Is that my? Are you on twice? Is that what's going on?
Me?
Let me kick the other. Are you on twice? Is that what's going on? Let me kick the other. Are you on twice? This is the YouTube channel. Let me see. The other. Are you on twice? Do you have headphones you could use? That might be it. What's going on?
I mean, it's never a problem with other when I do this.
Do you have headphones you could use? That might be it. What's going on?
I mean, it's never a problem with other when I do this.
Do you have headphones you could use? Let me see if I turn that off. Is that better?
Gone now.
Okay, I think I don't know why the Bluetooth slider was on. That was my fault.
That was so cool. We should do the whole show.
Right.
Like that.
I probably lost whatever small audience that I had. I probably
Or
lost.
gain, you know.
No, but so I was looking. It was cool because I was looking at your discography or whatever, all the people you worked with. Like I said, quite a resume. But one of the ones that names that jumped out at me was Minnie Driver, and I was like, oh, that can't be like the actor. That's got to just be a coincidence or something. Then I was like, wait, no, that is the actress. Like she had a music career, and you worked with her on multiple albums, I think, right?
Yeah, she was a singer before she was an actor. She was signed to, I think, Columbia, or I forget, but she was like a professional singer making records before she got known as an actress. I'm from Chicago, but when I moved to LA in the early 2000s, forget how, but we had mutual friends. We ended up becoming friendly, and I was playing in her band, on and off. And yeah, she's a lovely voice, really nice songs.
So did you meet her before she got famous for acting then?
No. I mean, Good Will Hunting. What's that, like late 90s or something? No, I move out to LA in 2002. I think those records were made in like 2004 or 5 or something like that. I forget.
Oh, okay, yeah. So this is like years later. But she had been doing music before acting even.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when she was just coming up in London. She was a singer. As far as I know, she was a singer before she was an actress. But she had a lovely voice. Yeah.
Wow, that's so interesting. Yeah, so she's probably done musicals and stuff then, right?
I don't know. This is actually her guitar.
Seriously?
Don't tell her. I was doing a gig with her. It was just me and her in London. We flew separately. She asked me to take the guitar. And by the time I got to London, she was already there, and she'd gotten really sick, like the flu or something. So I just hung out for a few days. And then when we got back to LA, I hit her up. I was like, hey, I've still got your guitar. And I just never heard from her. And that was, I don't know, 13 years ago or something. It's a great guitar. I'm taking care of it.
Oh, you haven't heard from her in 13 years?
I mean, it's life. She's got a kid, whatever. People get busy.
Does she even still act? I haven't seen her in anything in a while.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I just wanted to play that scene though, because that made me think that it also made me think of a question. But here, let me see if I don't know if this will work. We'll try this if it works.
I just saw Eraserhead recently for the first time in a while. Maybe that's why my hair is tall.
Oh, I haven't seen that. I don't know if I've even seen that movie ever.
Oh, really? Oh my God, you got to see Eraserhead.
Yeah, I know. It's David Lynch, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, wait. I wanted to play the scene.
Good Will Hunting.
Because this scene is so crazy. If it works.
First of all, he's got no shirt. I don't hear it. You shrunk my shirt. Now I can't wear it. You ruined the laundry. I don't believe it. No, I didn't mean to do it. You wear my shirt. I've got 2 of them on. You can wear mine. No, I can't. No. That's basically how the scene goes.
Yeah, dude, that's so crazy though. So like when you're working with her and she's like, "Oh, you did a great job." Like, how do you believe anything she says? Because she's such a good actress. Like, I would think she's lying half the time, like, or she could, and you wouldn't know, right?
In the immortal words of Jan Van Halen, father to Alex and Eddie, don't believe your bullshit. Just play.
Well, there you go.
And that's right.
I just think that was she one of the most fascinating people that you worked with, or is it kind of not even that? Is it just like, oh, she's just like a
she's a regular person. She's a cool, really nice person, really good singer, easy to work with. Yeah, she's lovely. She's cool. Just like a person.
Yeah, I mean, after you worked with so many big names, then like Johnny Cash and Rick Rubin, all these guys like Maynard and stuff, like it's just kind of like the starstruckness wears off, right?
I mean, not always. Sometimes, sometimes people have a real intense presence, but I mean, it's like that way with anyone in life, really. I mean, it's a little different when it's somebody that they're famous, or you know things about them, or like, when I'm a fan, excuse me, like when I worked with Neil Diamond, that was just surreal. Because on one hand, it's just like, yeah, we're all just human beings. We're just musicians in a room playing, but you can't ignore the fact, like, holy fuck, that's Neil Diamond. Like, it's like being in a room with Abraham Lincoln or something. You know what I mean? Like, I grew up on that music, and when someone is that iconic and in the culture, it's just strange. I mean, that wears off. I mean, it has to wear off if you're gonna like do your job and just enjoy yourself, because it is just like, okay, we're just people playing music. But yeah, it's real strange at first, and the band too. It's like Mike Campbell and Benmont Tench from Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, like one of my favorite bands of all time that I grew up with. Like, so you can't help but I don't know if it's starstruck. I'm sure that's an element, but like at first it's just surreal. It's like, wow, like, oh, it feels like 5 minutes ago I was 8 years old watching MTV, like worshiping these guys, and now I'm in a room, like, eye to eye, just like playing music. But then, it's like quickly it's just like, okay, we're all just musicians. I mean, some are, more experienced or further along the road, or have done, work that I really look up to and admire, but like we're all just here doing it.
Yeah, I think surreal though, that's the term that jumps out. That's the same for me with certain people. Like some people, you're like, you're a casual fan, or you liked one album or whatever, and you meet him and it's like, it's cool, but it's not like some of those people are like Neil Diamond. I mean, that's just so iconic. It's almost like he's not a real person, you know what I mean? Because you've seen him on TV, so it's almost like a cartoon or something. Like, and then you meet him and you're like, oh, this is like a real human being. Like, it's bizarre because you've only seen him on TV and pictures and radio and and so it's like
larger
like a real person. Yeah, exactly. It is weird.
That's what I mean when I say, it's like being in a room with Abraham Lincoln. It's like being, you hear the legend of Paul Bunyan or something. But yeah, I mean, after 5 minutes, like, okay, just, hey, how's it going? You know what I mean? Like,
Right. Yeah, but some of those people too, I mean, you see the genius in their personalities too. Do you notice like that they're very quick witted, or like they just or like Maynard? I think that guy is just such an odd guy, right? I mean,
not
like,
really.
Really? It's not. He's
I mean,
not.
I don't think so. I mean, I know a lot of strange people. It's like, it's not. I mean, everyone's got peccadillos and parts of their personality that are, that's part of what makes it fun. I mean, one thing that I noticed in my experience with people who, it's not about fame. It's just like, they're just great. Like Maynard's great. Mike Campbell, Benmont Tench, they're great. Neil Diamond's great. Like what one underlying thread, unifying thread that I've noticed, it's just easy. You know what I mean? It's like when people I don't know, they don't have nothing to prove. You know what I mean? I don't know if it has anything to do with success. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. Maybe it's just their personality anyway. But like, that was one thing that was so surprising to me at first when I first started playing with all those guys. Really, it was just like, wow, this is easy. You know, it's just like there's no struggle, there's no ego bullshit, there's no, like cloud of doubt. It's just like you get together and do it. People know what to do and they just do it. It's really
Yeah. Do you notice that the people too, those big names like the Chris Cornells and the Maynards and stuff, like they don't have the ego. And so, like, cause you always think like when you see on TV and things in movies, you see these rock stars with this like diva attitudes, but the bigger name, like I have never had Alice Cooper on my show, but I've had a bunch of people who've been in his band, who've worked with them. Like everyone says all good things about Alice Cooper, but you'd think a guy that big could just be a total asshole if he wanted, but he's like one of the nicest guys, everyone says.
Yeah, that's not surprising to me. Like, why would he be? Like, he's been doing it for 60 years. You know what I mean? Like, I have no idea what his finances are, but I would imagine like he doesn't have to do it. He probably does it because he enjoys it still.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. I guess everyone's got different motivations and different reasons for doing things, but I don't know. I mean, I don't think I've ever really had a nightmare situation. Yeah, it's always, just like the couple. I've never really had like a real nightmare situation, like in general. I mean, maybe just like, when I was younger or something, with like some local yokel, you know what I mean? It's like, but yeah, in my experience, people that have been doing it a while, whether they're famous or not, people, they just sort of get it. Just like, we're all just here doing the thing. So just do the thing and be cool and let's have fun and do the work. It's really simple, really. But like most things that are simple, it's often rare to find people that are tapped into that.
Yeah. Especially with that level of like the people you've worked with, the level of talent. But I find it too that there's a lot of people that do not have that level of fame, but they still they have that level of talent. Like there's so many super talented musicians that no one's heard of, and I find that so perplexing.
Especially these days.
Yeah, it's got to be hard as a musician to like, because you have so much talent yourself. I listened to your stuff and I was like, wow, this is really melodic and it's really good music. And it's just like, it's just this, how do you compete though with all these people? It's so hard to prove yourself.
It's not about proving yourself or competing. It's just about, competing only in the marketplace sense of just like everyone, if you want to use that word, like everybody's trying to vie for attention. Just because there's music and there's music business. Like music is eternal and like will never go away, and the people will always be making it and sharing it and just doing it. But the music business is changing radically and crumbling, and who knows how it'll end up in the next even 5 years. Something's got to radically change because it's really creating an untenable situation where everybody knows that record sales are almost non-existent and streaming is pays you literally pennies, so that's really not any source of an income. And touring is, as most people are finding out now, is like, even that, unless you're a big artist, like for the mid-level and small level artists, like touring is becoming untenable as well. It's just too expensive. Like all the costs of touring, whether this is the kind of the boring part of it, but it's, I don't know. It's just like, it's all part of it. It's like, whether it's like touring insurance or a bus or whatever, just trying to, get people in a room. It's just, it's a really strange, awkward time for, maybe not for music, but for the music business and the way people get music to listeners. I don't know. At the same time, like I hear of bands all the time, bands and artists. Like they'll be playing. I live in LA, I live in Hollywood, so like I'll be driving down and see like so and so playing you know, the Fonda Theater or whatever, and, you know, it's sold out and I've never heard of them, or it's, you know, people playing, you know, the big and normal domes, like 20,000 people, whatever, like I've never heard of. And I don't know, that there's always music being made, and how people are finding out about it is kind of mysterious. I mean, I find out about stuff just from like, as much as I'm loath to recommend Spotify, it's like the algorithm is good, you know. It's like I found out about a lot of stuff that I like just from, you know, it just pops up. I have kids, I have teenagers, so they tell me about music that I end up really liking too. And yeah, but yeah, it's a really awkward time where nobody really knows what's going on, you know. And I'm not that, maybe no one ever did either, but at least there was like a system in place where there's a hierarchy of like, here's you know, here's what you need to do to get your music heard, or, you know, if you do have a record out, you know, here's these various channels where we can get more people to hear it, whether it's radio or MTV or these magazines. Now it's just like everything's just blown up, and nothing, the old ways just don't really apply for anybody. You know what I mean? Like even if you're on the cover of Rolling Stone or in Rolling Stone or whatever, like there's still a certain cachet, or like, you know, you're reaching a certain amount of people, but it's nowhere near like it was a couple decades ago. And that's not to lament like, oh, the good old days. It's just the culture's changed, like times change, you know.
Yeah, it's scary too because I mean, there is good and bad. Like back in the day, you had to like you're right. There was this like process, like you had to get on a major label, and then you get on MTV, and then you get the media coverage and all that. But even getting on the major label, sometimes those bands fail out. But now you don't need a major label. Anybody can upload music to Spotify, which is good and bad. But the other thing that I think that the twist of the last few years that's really kind of worrying me for musicians, because I interview a lot of musicians. So, I mean, I'm not a musician, but I understand your guys' struggle because I hear this all the time from so many people. But I mean, the latest wrinkle is the AI thing. And I mean, I made my theme song with AI for $10, and it's like, it's freaking amazing. It's like a great theme song, but that probably takes the job away from some musician that would have charged me hundreds of dollars. So, I mean, that's another, because that's like, I feel like that was a big part of music business for musicians now, is getting like theme songs or commercials and those things. But now if they can use AI for that, I mean, geez, that's really hard. I mean, obviously I don't think they're going to be able to do AI for concerts. I mean, I guess they could, but it's going to be crappy. But it's like you said, the music business for that is like, I mean, even Anthrax, that's a big band. They had to cancel one of their tours because it was like, it's not going to make money. So
yeah, sure, them or Santi Gold, like a few months ago, she canceled her tour. A lot of people, I think the Black Keys, I forget what's
Black Keys, really?
I
Wow.
think there might be something different, but yeah, I mean, AI, I mean, it's just another tool. I mean, people flipped out over drum machines, you know, 45 years ago, claiming the sky was falling, and it really is just another tool. But like most tools, they fall in the hands of the wrong humans, and like weird shit happens.
Yeah.
And it is, but it is more concerning than a drum machine because of, I was just reading about it this morning. There's some petition being signed by all these like famous actors and musicians, and because I don't know too much about it, but like I guess the way a lot of the AI systems are trained is by uploading content, like people which I hate that word. I don't even like that it came out of my mouth so naturally. But just like, you know, it's just stuff that people make, because it's not content. You know what I mean? It's just like that stupid quote from Daniel Ek from Spotify like a couple years ago, where it's like, creators need to be making more content, and like, you know, it's like just like feed for like, you know, like you're overfeeding a goose to fatten for the slaughter or whatever. Just like, you know, that like music used to have this magic hold over people and the culture, and now it's like, you know, you're turning on a faucet and it's just like another like you pay a monthly fee for your water bill. It's not that to me. It's not that way to a lot of people. But anyway, AI, like, you know, just the danger is, well, I guess the concern is that artists' work is being uploaded to train these AI systems, and they're expecting to use this work for free when that's just not remotely okay.
It's a good point. And I think about that, because how do they come up with that stuff? It's obviously based on other music. And then, how do you know, like when it creates an AI song, is it like, okay, this was based on this, this, and this, or is it just, it's trained it so well that now it's created its own stuff without, like, it's grown on from that? I don't know. And then you have to go back and trace it, and what a nightmare.
Yeah, I don't really know enough about AI to even speak intelligently about it. All I know is that music and all art, like, it's more than just stuff. Like, it's more than just, here's this thing I made, and like, oh, it'd be better if like a machine could do it. They can do it faster, and it's not about that. It's about being a human being and overcoming, fear or limitations, or transcending what you thought was what you were capable of as a songwriter, as a performer, as a singer, as a whatever, author, actor, like any creative pursuit. It's about being a person, and it's not about the end result is this work of art. But art isn't a thing. It's if it's any good, if there's something essential in it, it's a living being. It's like it's like a slice of someone's personality, or like you can give your so have you ever had like a friend that was going through a hard time, and didn't really matter like what you said to like try to console them, like, and in your head you're like, man, I wish I could just like make you see, like, I wish I could just like show you how I see you, and like, or what I mean, like, and that's what art is. It's like you're literally taking a part of your essence, like, not just what the work is saying, but just like who you are. It's there's so much feeling in it, or there's the potential for there to be feeling in it, whether whatever it is, like hope or intelligence, or just like there's so much communicated through sound and through just any medium of art that, like, the computer's not going to give you that. The computer's just going to give you this thing. It'll be like drum beats and notes, and there's no feeling to it.
It's more sterile, yeah, for sure.
So I'm not against AI. I'm just against AI replacing human expression, because it's not about, I don't need a fucking like 10,000 songs created by a computer in 30 seconds. It's about human beings, like, expressing themselves and who they are, and being their true authentic selves, which in this world is that's a real accomplishment, to actually be yourself and to remain yourself and to continue to develop as you actually are. I think it's interesting, like, you look back on the 60s, where there's so much incredible music being made by all these really unique artists. There's Jimi Hendrix and the Beatles and the Kinks and the Stones and the Who, and on and on, Donovan, Dylan, like, Joni Mitchell, like, and what is it like why has it changed so much? It's not about the style. Like, style always changes, but I don't know. I look out at the world and culture and society, and it just seems like more and more everything is being homogenized. Like, you see a Starbucks in every foreign city, across the globe. And, you used to be able to go across the country in the States and like hear a different, even different counties in the same state, like, would have radically different song selections for the radio. And now everything is just the same everywhere. And it's just like people are being, I don't know. I don't have a negative view on things, even though it sort of sounds like this is a pessimistic spew. But I just think it takes a lot of like, you have to want to be an individual and want to like know what you actually like and dislike and believe in. And that's, it's about, like, a machine doesn't have values. A machine has an algorithm and is programmed with zeros and ones. You know what I mean? It's about being a person and living a life, and you know, we're more than just, you know, content creators. You know what I mean? Like, it's about being a person and
Well, yeah, and I
just
think there's
sharing
more
that.
that goes along with that whole thing. I mean, that's like what we're talking about the music business, how it used to be with the, like you said, the cover Rolling Stone stuff. Like that was part of the whole thing. Like why, like a lot of the bands that I looked up to, like why I liked them. It wasn't just the music; it was the way they looked, the way they acted, like you know their
They
lifestyle. I was
are.
like, oh, these guys are cool. Like Guns N' Roses. I remember just being like a little kid, like a teenager, and kind of like a like a wimpy kid. And these guys were like, "Fuck you, we don't we don't take shit," and like Axl would like get in like fights with people, and I was like, whoa, these guys are like bad. Like they don't take shit. Like I take shit, but like these guys don't. I was like, and that's what it like made me so enamored to that. I was like, wow, these guys are like,
Yeah,
and like
man, I
the
get it.
song.
Yeah,
Yeah,
AI doesn't
yeah, it's
have
not gonna have that. Yeah, no,
AI doesn't have an attitude. Computer doesn't have a
no,
worldview. You know,
no.
experiences
They
that
don't doesn't
you've
have the
been through.
emotion, like not Guns N' Roses, like it was like emotion. It was like anger, but it was like, and there's other songs I'm sure they're
All
more
sorts
like
of stuff.
what, yeah, like sad and those kinds of things. And yeah, I think you're not going to get that from AI. I think AI, but for some people that don't really care, they're not true music fans, like you said, the people that are just, they go to Starbucks instead of like the local coffee shop, and they don't mind the background music. That's all AI is for them, and they won't even notice.
Well, I mean, even music being made by human beings is like, it's like wallpaper. You know, there's a lot of well done, pleasant stuff, a lot of clever things being done, but it's just wallpaper, most of it.
Mhm.
And that's the thing, like technology. There's, I'm all for technology. I'm like, there's a part of me that is very traditional, and a part of me that's very forward thinking. Like, I'm always interested in new equipment, new gear, new, just just progress and like imagination, like what else can be done and in different ways. Um, but one thing that I do sort of miss is like when I was coming up, like a demo was a demo and the record was the record. Like you could really tell if people couldn't play, like you'd hear the demo and like the drummer can barely keep it together and the singer can't really sing in tune, or vice versa. Like you hear it like, wow, they're really good. You know,
Hmm.
now because of Pro Tools, and again, this isn't a criticism of Pro Tools. I use Pro Tools like it's just a tool, but like because of all the technology available, like everything sounds good. You know, like everything sounds professional. Everything sounds presentable, and no matter like how incompetent the band is, or you know what I mean. Like
Yeah.
everything sounds like ship shape.
Well, that's what's so cool about seeing music live. If they're not using like some sort of like effect or whatever to make them sound good, or they're lip syncing or whatever, if they're doing it live, like that's what's so amazing to me is watching people play music, I mean, I watch it all. I love drummers. I love
Yeah,
guitarists. I love singers. I love keyboard player if they're really good. I mean, whatever the instrument,
sure.
like I have no musical talent. So I look at any musician, I go, wow, it's so cool to see that stuff. I mean, it must have been amazing for you, like when you're working with Audio Slave and you're just like able to see Chris Cornell sing, like, right. I mean, I don't know
Oh
if you
yeah.
use Pro Tools, but you got to see him record it and hear it live, right? I mean, that's got to be
Yeah, I
insane.
mean, my day job 20 years ago or whatever was I was just sitting in a room with them, just recording their rehearsals, and they'd be writing songs for the new record, and just spend like 5 hours every day just watching them play and watching them sing. I mean, that's like, rock school.
Mhm.
I paid attention to all of them. So I was a huge fan of what they'd done before, and their various bands, and Audioslave itself. So that was super cool. Yeah, I mean, again, like I have no problem with technology. I personally am not that into tracks. I don't really like seeing bands that use a lot of tracks. But then again, like there's always an exception. Like, I played in Pussifer for a while, for 3 or 4 years, and that band uses tracks, and I thought that was cool. Like that's a really creative use of tracks. It's also like a more of a multimedia event. It's really not like a rock band playing a rock concert. It's almost more like a Broadway show, really,
Hmm.
where it makes a lot more sense to incorporate pre-recorded tracks for certain things, for certain reasons and to keep the flow of the show happening. And there's a lot of visual things happening at the same time that need to be synced up with the music, and so that's a different.
That's a good point. Yeah. Do you think that is maybe partly the future of music too? Because I remember like in the 90s when 9 Inch Nails came out, and I was like, oh, okay, this is going to be the future. This is music. It's going to be industrial. They're going to use all these like things. And then a lot of that kind of died out. I mean, now you've got like bands like Falling in Reverse and stuff that are using more electronic components, but there's a lot of bands that don't, like the Black Keys. I mean, they're just old school rock band.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully the future music is just people doing what they actually want to do and just expressing themselves. And I just like people where you can just tell that they're, it's just honest human expression, just doing their thing. I like all kinds of stuff. Like I just like, you can tell when someone is doing it for real or not. I like super slick, really polished, beautiful things. I like crazy, falling apart. Like I do miss, like, there's, as far as I can tell, there's not really bands like the Butthole Surfers or Pussy Galore or whatever, like really just like scuzzy, just like fucked up, like the opposite of perfection.
What are those punk bands? I'm not familiar with them.
Oh, you know the Butthole Surfers? Oh shit.
Butthole Surfers. Yeah. Sorry. I didn't, maybe I missed
yeah. Yeah, or just,
I remember them. Who the hell was in my room last night? I love that song.
Yeah.
I had that CD, whatever that one was. And there's a couple other good songs on there too, but yeah. Whatever happened to them? Do they still tour? Gilby Haynes, was that his?
Gibby. Yeah. No, I don't think they do anything. But I mean, there's always, there's always cool stuff being made. Doesn't matter what era. Sometimes it just takes a little more ingenuity to find it.
Yeah. Are you going to tour with the solo stuff the album you've got out now?
I got no plans to. Like, I would love to play some more shows, and I would love to hit the road. It's just not in the cards right now. I got another new record that I'm looking for a label for, so I'm more concentrating on just the next record.
Is that the band with the guys from Rage?
That's a different one. That's
another one. That's a third thing.
No, I got my solo thing, and I play guitar in 70/70. That's the band with Tim Comerford, bass player from Rage and Audioslave. We've got, I forget, I think 3 or 4 or 5 songs out. And we've got a bunch of songs recorded, and we're working on more new ones. We've been playing shows around LA, and the surrounding area. And so, I've got that, and I've got my solo thing. So Supernatural Radio came out back in the summer, a few months ago. And so I was saying a minute ago, I've got another brand new record that's pretty much ready to go, that I'm just looking for a label to put it out.
Oh, okay. So that's another solo one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that's a continuation of the last one that I think that's the one I heard, that it's that, because that's on Spotify or whatever. I was listening to it.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you about, now I forgot the name of the song. I was trying to look it up. It's I think it's the third song or second song. It had the really cool, long name.
Is it a polka?
Let me see. I wanted to ask you.
Leaders in the Rankin File.
Let me see.
That's a long title.
Sorry, I should have. It was the super. So this one, Bottom Feeders, Leaders in the Rankin File. Yeah, that one's. Yeah, that was it.
Yeah,
that's a cool. I like stuff like that. That I go, okay. There's so many songs called I don't know. I'm trying to think of
yeah.
There's sort of I love 80s bands. I'm a huge fan of 80s bands, but there's so many 80s songs that have the exact same title, and I'm like, what? I know what you mean. Some sort of twist on this. That's why I like songs like that, where I'm like, okay, this is something different.
Everything matters. I love song titles. I remember being a kid and reading an interview with John Fogerty from Creedence Clearwater. He was saying,
him,
he was saying a lot of times he'll just have a title and write a song based around the title, and that he had gotten his love of song titles from Dwayne Eddy. I love that. There's a continuum and a community, whether the people or not, and I love interesting song titles. Like they don't always have to be like super, you know, obtuse or like look at me, you know. But I love like the Pixies have great song titles, and yeah, it's like
Yeah.
something that just kind
I
of
think
stands
that's like
out.
the 90s. That's what I love the 80s, but the 90s had to happen because the 80s just got so repetitive. I mean, it was almost like AI. Like it just became so repetitive with the same lyrics and looks, and every band looked the same. And then the 90s came along and you got Nirvana and all that stuff, and it was just so different. I think people were like, oh, this is like refreshing. And so now you've kind of got like everything's going on with the music scene. I mean, I don't even know what would you even call the music scene now? Like, because there's everything. I mean, if you like 80s stuff, you like 90s, if you like contemporary, like it's all there. It's like there's so many different things that are still popular because they don't need the major label MTV. Like everyone could just go on YouTube, and it's crazy.
No, I agree. It's interesting. There used to be, and this isn't a criticism, just kind of observing. Like it did feel like the 80s were the 80s and the 90s were the 90s, and even the beginning part of the 2000s. I don't know how to say it exactly. There was like a sense of like, here's what's happening, even if it was like a many different things, there was still sort of a sense of like this focus. And I think part of that was media, like media used to have it used to be a big deal, like MTV, Rolling Stone, like here's the channels for information. Here's the only way you could find out about what was going on. And
Right.
then internet took over, and cut to 30 years later, and you realize like, oh, we are the media. Like we all are the media. Like it's all, Instagram and Facebook, and like, it's kind of leveled out for everything. Like it's not a special thing to, such and such, so and so is in this magazine or on this TV show, because it's all kind of the same stuff. Like it's not that different than, a YouTube channel or your Instagram page or whatever. But it's also, things are just changing culturally, where there is no singular zeitgeist. Like Nirvana is the thing, and everything else is just kind of like trailing off based on that particular thrust. Now it's like there's a million different zeitgeists, and nothing is really there's no real like, I mean, there's always like a Chapel Roan or Taylor Swift, like these I don't know what you call them, like
Mega superstars.
yeah, but there's no real
like rock music is very like a lot of the rock music that's popular are still the older bands from 20 years ago.
It's because nobody knows how to write songs anymore. Like the songcraft has gone out the window.
You think so?
Absolutely.
I feel like there's a lot of good songs that people there's just too much. It's like it's hard to like sort through it and find the good stuff, but you can find it if you look. What's that?
I don't agree. I think
Really?
that I mean, there's a lot of interesting music being made. There's a lot of creativity, a lot of cleverness, but songs, I don't hear it. Every once in a while, like I think Mannequin Pussy's got some good songs. I like Aim on the Sniffers, and everyone's got their preferences, but I just mean like even just objectively, like, and there's just, people aren't really writing songs. It's the era of the producer. Like there's a lot of like great sounding tracks and great sounding performances on record, but a song, it's pretty simple, really. It's chords, melody, and words.
What do you think makes a great song then? Like what is music lacking? The motion, or?
I don't know. I mean, craft is part of it, and then the craft has kind of gone out the window, at least with I don't even know what you call it, popular music, or just kind of in general, just with bands and artists these days. Not everywhere. Like I think Adrian Lenker is a great songwriter, and there's people out there writing songs, bands, but not. Yeah, it's more about performances than songs, and that's just a different thing. Like I like all of it. Like I like, I love. I don't know. I can't even think of an example, but like, um, I just miss songwriting, like songcraft, and it doesn't need to be like you know, Glenn Campbell singing. It's not about style. It's about just like Stone Temple Pilot wrote great songs. Neil Diamond wrote great songs. Ministry writes great songs. You know, it's like it doesn't matter what the supposed genre is or the style. You know, Ozzy writes great songs. But to my ears, most contemporary bands and artists aren't really writing songs. They're just like making records that sound cool and have style.
Do you think too they've lost like the metaphors? Because I feel like in the 60s, and you mentioned the 60s music, that makes me think there was the music was a lot more, it was like more metaphors and it was more discreet. Whereas I feel like now, like some of the music, like you look at like Wet Ass Pussy, like it's it's just very like there's no metaphor for like what, like Whitesnake is slided in and all these like kind of 80s like tongue in cheek things. Now it's just like Wet Ass Pussy, right? Like that's like the name of the song. Like you're just like, wow,
I like that song.
I think it's hilarious, but
I don't have a problem with that.
It's interesting that there's no like subtlety anymore. Like, or maybe it's just in certain songs. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I mean, did you ever see Idiocracy? That movie?
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
it makes me think of Idiocracy, and I don't mean to pick on Megan Thee Stallion or anything, or is that she's in Wet Ass Pussy, right? I don't remember, but whatever. Because I
think it's like three of them. Yeah, I think it's so funny. I don't know. Because that also reminds me too of like NWA and stuff. Like I always would listen to that shit, and I would like giggle. I was like a kid, like just like because they're swearing, they're saying all this dirty stuff. I just think it's really funny. But
I love NWA. Yeah, that was revelatory. I was a teenager when that came out.
Yeah,
but part of it too is just like I think it's bizarre that like the Wet Ass Pussy like became like a huge mainstream song.
Right.
That's why I mentioned Idiocracy. That's not a criticism for the people that made the song. It's a great song. It's a cool record. And I love stuff like that. Like I love Peaches. It's just like I think it's strange to have a culture where like there's something kind of cool about, like Peaches would have Fuck the Pain Away or something, and it wouldn't have hit literally because it wouldn't have any charts or anything, so it's very underground, but it was a hit in the sense that people that knew about it were like really into it and recognized how great it was. But I find it weird that it's like
well, I think you're really into you're a musician, so you're really into music. Like you're even bringing up stuff that I don't know about. I thought I knew a lot about music, but I think the average person like doesn't give a shit. So like an AI song or like a song that's written by, I think a lot of those pop songs now, it's all written by the same like 7 guys or something. Like like if you look at the songwriters, it's like the same 5 people on like 30 out of the 40 top songs or whatever. So it's kind of more generic. I think that's just like the average person. Whereas like the average person also might be fine with just Starbucks or McDonald's or whatever. Like, whereas if you're really into coffee or music or cars or whatever, like you want something, the shit better and oh, this sucks. But for the average person that doesn't give a shit, they're just going to go, okay, well, this is the generic thing. And yeah, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I'm just a fan. That's why I started playing and learning how to do this.
Yeah.
I continue to learn how to do it anyway. And I'm
That's
interested.
Cool that you have the talent too, though. See, I'm a fan, but I have no musical talent, but you actually have talent.
Talent it's not irrelevant, but it's definitely secondary. I mean, look at the Sex Pistols. Were they talented? Like look at Slits. Were they talented? Like
that's what I should have done. I should have started a punk band.
Well, that's my point. It's like I don't think talent is the point. The point is human expression. Like if you have something to say, whether it's something like I have something to say, or if it's just a feeling, or if you just want to do it, like you just do it. It's about expressing yourself. And I don't feel the people for the most part in a lot of contemporary music. It just feels like people just making clever shit. Just I don't know. I mean, there's always exceptions too. There's plenty of bands and artists that I think are really like vital and exciting and creative and. But yeah, I mean, it's a whole, it's a blizzard of stuff to wade through. It exhausting if you're interested in trying to find the good shit.
Yeah. How do you, when you write music, because I had Bob Forrest on, I don't know if you know him, but he was, yeah. So he was like friends with the Red Hot Chili Peppers. But he was saying like for Bob, because he's a musician too, in addition to being a counselor, which a lot of people know him for that. But like he would say the music for him would just come to him. But he said like when he was looking at like Anthony Kiedis from Red Hot Chili Peppers, he would say that Anthony had like all these like journals and stuff. And he was like piecing pieces of lyrics together and like making it this really complicated, like that's how he wrote the song. But for Bob, it just like came to him. So what is it for you? Does the music just come to you? Or do you have to kind of piece it together? Like
all different ways. Sometimes it comes to me. Sometimes, I keep journals, whether it's journal entries or poetry or little lines or whatever. Like it's all kinds of different ways. I mean, that's part of the fun too. It's like I get bored easily, and I like to be surprised. I like to, go beyond what I think I'm capable of doing. And sometimes I've had like entire songs with lyrics, melody, chords, everything just pop into my head like on a plane where there's not even an instrument. And sometimes like on this most recent record, like there's a song where I wrote the chorus right after 9/11 happened, in 2001. And I finally finished it and wrote the verse a couple of years ago. So it took like 20 years to finish that song.
Which song is that?
It's Kiss the Vulture.
Okay. Yeah.
The chorus was written after 9/11. And then
that's a cool title too.
Yeah. Thanks. The verse was written a couple of years ago. So by any means necessary, just like however it gets done. I like that. Like sometimes it just spills out and super easy. Sometimes it's very much like putting time and that's what I mean about craft. It's just like, it doesn't have to be like a Randy Newman type song. It could be anything, like the Sex Pistols. Those are well crafted songs. They're great songs, like the Pretenders, whatever, in any era. But and it didn't
Randy Newman. That's an interesting. Are you a fan of his?
Yeah, I like Randy Newman. And it's like I like all kinds of music. Some music is not about songs. It's about like even Led Zeppelin, who I love. It's like some of their things are songs, but some of them are just like performance pieces. You know what I mean? It's a different thing than a song. Like you can sit down and play Going to California. That's a song. It's like a folk song. Then there's like Moby Dick, where it's like it needs all four pieces. Or is that an instrumental? I can't even remember. Or, you know what I mean? It's like it just that's more like almost like a classical. It's more like a composition than a song. Like a song.
Do you think too the music, like the marketing of music, is a huge piece of it too? Like what about like a band like Kiss or even like even Iron Maiden? Like I feel like Iron Maiden is like a lot of their success is because they have such a cool mascot and they got those like the stage shows are really cool. And Kiss, obviously the makeup was huge. Like I know I've interviewed so many musicians on my show love Kiss. Like it's like their number one thing, but is the music even that good?
I love Kiss. I think Kiss is great. I didn't like them growing up, but like, I like them now. But that's also a very different era. You talk about, the Eddie mascot and stuff like that. Those kind of things made a big impact, but it's also, you're talking about a time when I forget what the numbers are exactly, but like in the 60s, I think 1,000 records were released a year. And now it's like, I think it's like 30,000 records are released a day or something like that.
That sounds about right. Yeah. Because like I said, anybody could do it on Spotify. Just upload it. I can. It's crazy.
You know what I mean? We're just talking about totally different worlds, it's like where, people would get up in arms about, someone saying shit on a record, or like, people spent time, talking to Ozzy about his backwards masking. You know what I mean? It's like, it's almost like the 50s now. It's like a very innocent time like that. Nobody cares about that anymore. No one's got time,
Yeah. I mean, it's just got to be hard in some ways it's hard to be a musician now, but in the other ways it's easy because you don't have to get the major label. You don't have to get on MTV. You can upload it to YouTube yourself. You can do Spotify yourself. I mean, you can sell, like you said, the touring is tough. I mean, yeah, you can manage yourself and tour, but it's like, it's tough. It's tough to, I
If
mean,
you want to do it, you do it. I've been making music since I was a kid. I'm never gonna stop. You know, the way it's released might change, but
yeah.
doesn't matter. You know, like it's
And you don't need to get a certain, like, this isn't your, bringing in, like, paying the bills, right? Cause you're paying the bills with like the other work you're doing, like the engineering and stuff, or.
I don't know, engineer. I'm mostly like teaching. I teach guitar and
Oh,
voice
okay.
and songwriting and you know just like all sorts of weird little ways. Sometimes like I'll get hired to, you know, uh, produce a track or play on someone's recording or whatever. Um, but no, I mean, yeah, I mean it's not a to me it's not a business. It's not a career. This is just my life and this is what I do. You know, it's not even like what I love to do. It is what I love to do, but like it's more than that. It's just like this is just what I do. You know what I mean? This is I make music.
Yeah. It's just like, it's born into you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's amazing that you, like I said, though, I think too, that you have the talent. Cause I mean, I love music, but it's like, I don't want to torture people. I mean, I do karaoke sometimes if I've had a few drinks, but like, it's terrible, you know, it's like, but it's just, I think it's okay to just be a big fan as well. Like I love so many other things as well, but
Yeah, sure.
um,
Either way, like music for everybody. You know, it's for everybody to enjoy and to play and to make. I mean, it used to be like a much more communal thing. You know, whether it was you know in this. I was talking about it last night with somebody like how you know there used to be music in the schools and like it didn't matter if you were a jock or whoever. Like anyone. It was. Everybody like took piano lessons or flute lessons or violin lessons or you know growing up it didn't matter if even if you knew that you had no interest in ever being a professional musician like it was just part of being human. It's like you play in the orchestra or you play in the concert band or you know so and so football player you know also takes cornet lessons or whatever you know and or people used to have pianos. Everyone had pianos in their home and that was like a very common thing you know 100 years ago, even less, of just like people sitting around the piano and just like singing songs as a family. And like, you know, um, it's just not so much like that anymore. Yeah, the world changes, you know, things change, people change, hairstyles change.
yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. I remember I had a piano in my house when I was a kid. My parents made me take piano lessons and I hated it. And then, yeah, and like when I remember when I was in middle school, you had to either take choir, band, or orchestra. You had
Hmm.
to pick one of the, there was no other choice. Like you couldn't take wood shop or whatever. And
Hmm.
so I remember I took band. And yeah, I don't know if it's
It's not
as
required
common.
anymore. Well, it's not even required. It's like it doesn't exist anymore. Like there's not music in the schools. Like, that
Yeah.
program doesn't exist.
When I
That's
think
what,
it too, like it helps, especially like yeah, music, it helps with like math. It helps like your mind uh organize the same way, or I don't know. There's like studies that have been done that if you know kids that play
yeah,
instruments do better in math. I don't know.
it's good for your soul just playing music and being involved in it and it's part of being a human being. It's not a luxury, you know. It's not a I mean imagine the world if there were no music, you know, fall apart, you know, just like everyone just working their shitty job that they don't actually like and just like, you know, with no if there were no art in the world, you know, art's not a luxury. It's not something that that you know, it should be free, you know. It's just as essential as anything else, maybe even more so, you know? It's how we communicate, it's how we, you know, keep each other afloat and inspire each other and tell stories and to, you know, keep us from just being automatons that just like are just like making money for some rich asshole who's, you know, making all the laws to, you know, control whether our daughters can have babies or not. Or you know what I mean? It's just like it's a
Yeah,
strange
I mean, I
society.
think music brings us all together. Like it keeps the world going round. It brings us together because the thing at the end of the day,
Yeah.
like whether you're from this background or you're rich, or you're poor, or you're Republican or Democrat or whatever, like you go to a concert and we all love the same music. I mean, if we're at that band, whatever, whoever it is, like we leave all that at the door usually, and we're all just music
Yeah.
fans at that
Yeah.
point.
There's fewer and fewer artists like that, but I love that. Like I love going to a Paul McCartney show and it's 60,000 people all singing Hey Jude, you know, it gives you the chills or, you know, whoever, like go see the Foo Fighters, or whether whether it's your preference or not. It's just like there's something really beautiful about just a large group of people all singing along to the same song.
Yeah, definitely. I love that.
Yeah, me too.
It's so great, especially when you're like, if you're at a big concert, you got to be towards the front though. Like I feel like the older I get, I'm like, oh man, I hate being in the nosebleeds now. It's like sucks. Like I'm watching the concert on the TV or whatever. I'm like,
yeah. Might as well stay home. Yeah.
It's like, it's crazy. I really love small shows. Like that's why I was like asking if you were going to tour, like you should come to Arizona. I'll come and see you. Like I love like more intimate, the big stadium things. Like I really just don't, unless I have some sort of like, I've got a connection or something that I can get like a front row.
No, I hear you.
Like, I don't want to be a cattle in the herd. I like the smaller, the smaller, the better, I think. You
I like
really
that too.
See the musicians work their magic, I think.
No, I feel you. Yeah, the only band I've ever seen where I felt like it really truly belonged in a stadium, or I guess arena, is Neil Young and Crazy Horse. Like that music is so big and powerful. Like it felt appropriate in in a big arena. U2 was pretty cool. I saw them a few years ago at the Rose Bowl, but I also I lucked out and somebody gave me like these incredible seats right up front. So I don't know if it might have been a different story, like way up in the nosebleeds. But yeah, I like being able to feel the people and to be up close and to see the bands and to really get what they're about. And you can't do that like you go see a concert and you're watching the Jumbotron. Like what's the point of that? You might as well go home. Just watch on YouTube.
That's kind of how it was when I went and saw Foo Fighters. For whatever reason, I don't know why I didn't. Maybe I should have just paid more for a better ticket. But I was like, oh, we'll sit up on the lawn. And I was just like, we're so far away. I mean, they were amazing. They're great band, great musicians, great songs. But yeah, it's just like, I don't know. There's something missing.
Tickets are expensive. It's expensive to go see shows. It's expensive to tour. It's expensive to be an audience member.
Yeah.
Stuff this summer, and I'll just like, if I want to go see someone, I'm at the point where I just pay the money and I'll just get like great seats, because it's not even not that big a difference between like great seats and shitty seats. Even the nosebleeds are like $150, $200.
Yeah. I feel the same with sporting events. I'm like, I'm not going to go to that many events. I would rather go to less events and have a really good seat and only go to the shows and sporting events that I really want to be at. Rather than just like go to a bunch of, like, I don't know if I'd ever have a season ticket. I don't think I could afford it, like for what I would want. If I wanted to go to every game for a sporting event, I would want to be sitting close, like I don't want to go to 80 games of a team and sit in the nosebleeds. That would be rough.
Yeah. I mean, and a big part of maybe this is the whole thing. I don't know, but like people want to feel connected to each other.
Sure.
And getting back to what we were talking about in the beginning is just like, who wants to feel connected to a computer? Who gives a shit about that? It's a thing.
I mean, it's like you said, they're a tool, and like, definitely without computers, we wouldn't be able to talk right now. So there's definitely some cool things about the technology, but I think sometimes it's nice to take a break. And like I said, I just love to go even locally. I just really love locally, just going down. And I'm in Scottsdale. I'll go down to any, like, there's a place called Bell's Nashville Kitchen. They have live music like pretty much all day. And I'll just go down and I love watching people just, usually just like a girl on a guitar or something, or like two guys or whatever. And they're just, a lot of it's covers, or I don't care, but I also like hearing people's originals. I mean, it's just great to see music live. And I think that is one thing that it does seem like there is a lot more live music now than when I was a kid. And I grew up in Seattle in the 90s, but it feels like there's more live music now, especially you go to like towns like Nashville and stuff. I mean, it's just live music everywhere. I think that is great. I think that's good to see that real live music being played in so many different places. I worry about you guys as musicians in terms of just being able to pay your bills and stuff. Like I feel bad. Like so I try to help out, try to have as many on as I can, and try to support bands. If I don't buy their album, I'll go see their show or buy a t-shirt or whatever. So
yeah. No, I hear you, man.
And I root for you guys. I that's why I love it when like some musician, like I had the guys from Goodbye June on, and like they got their song in a Budweiser commercial, and I was like, that's so awesome for you guys. Like that helps out so much by getting those little things. So
it does. It's funny. Like when I was a kid, like that was the kiss of death. Like everyone talked about it. Like that was considered. That's that that idea went out the window several years ago. And you know, it's not good or bad. It's just interesting that it's come, you know, 180 degrees. But yeah, I mean, any way you can do it. You know, nobody's making money from record sales or from. It's hard to make money to sustain your life and your band out on the road, like, or at all. So like any way you can get it, it's great. You know.
Yeah, I love it. Well, your newest record is out now. Let me make sure I get the right title. It's Supernatural Radios. A little bit to people, I would say, I don't know if this is accurate. Like, I kind of got like a little bit of like a Paul Westberg like vibe from it, like the kind of melodic 90s. I don't know if that's accurate. I don't know if you'd say call.
Yeah, I love the Replacements. That's one of my favorite bands. I mean, it's got all kinds of moods in there. You know, I mean,
definitely some punk in there too, for sure.
Sure. Yeah. It's a rock record, you know, lots of melody. I'm big on words. I like good lyrics. You know, to me I hear a lot of like, I don't know, like REM and the Replacements and Nirvana and the Pixies and Gary Newman and, you know, Queens of the Stone Age and Tom Petty and Neil Young and, you know, T-Rex. You know, there's a couple songs that I hired an orchestra, you know, and it's got a lot of guests on it. It's like some of my favorite drummers of all time are on it. Steve Jordan, who plays drums in the Rolling Stones now, he's on one track. Hunt Sales, who played with Iggy Pop, Lust for Life, and Tin Machine, and he's one of my favorite drummers. He plays on that song Kiss the Vulture. And Scott Tunis he played bass with Frank Zappa. He's an old friend of mine. He played bass on a couple songs, and so it's got like a bunch of different guest stars. Belmont Tench from Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, he plays on the last track. He plays piano and organ. And Jack Irons he helped found the Chili Peppers.
Was he in Pearl Jam too?
He played in Pearl Jam. He played with Joe Strummer from the Clash. All these musicians that I really, really love. Like, I got a bunch of great ones on this record, and yeah, it's a very dynamic record. Like, a lot of different moods. Some are like very insular, kind of just very beautiful kind of ballads and moody. You know, there's some that are just like that one song we were talking about a few minutes ago. It's like a glam rock polka, you know, like, you know, with crazy guitar solos. And yeah, it's a good one.
Cool stuff. Well, people could check it out. I mean, that is like one thing that I know. I wish musicians got paid for the records more, but also like it's nice that people can check it out and see if they like it, and if they like it, they can listen to it and then follow you on Instagram, and hopefully maybe you'll come to their town. Or
yeah. I'm the Jonny Polonsky on Instagram, and you know, buy the vinyl if you like the music. There's always vinyl available.
Very cool. Well, let me know if you're ever near Phoenix, and I'll come see you perform. I'd love to see you perform live if you're.
Sounds good, man.
If you're out this way.
Yeah, hopefully in the near future.
Okay, cool. Thanks. Nice to meet you, Jonny.
You too. Thanks for having me on.
All right. See you later.